as little children, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Both inward righteousness and that childlike spirit are both spiritual necessities in order to receive the promises of God. You have to have a relationship, brothers and sisters, with Christ. Your children, if you do not have a relationship with them, how will you know their love? How will they know your love? Through relationship. It's the same thing with our Lord and Savior, having a relationship, because see, these promises, they are for believers. And if you are not a believer, then these promises, you cannot obtain these promises. So my brothers and sisters, we need the strength that God has given us through Jesus Christ. That strength, it's abundant. Psalms 119 and 165 says, great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. It's great peace that God gives to us through his son, Jesus Christ. It's perfect peace that God gives to us through Jesus Christ. And if you want that peace, which is perfect, Isaiah 26:3 says, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusts in thee. Do you trust him today? If you trust him, seek him with your whole heart. If you trust him, fall back into his arms. He will catch you. If you trust him, he will lead you from the cradle to the grave. If you trust him, he will give you strength. He will give you love that surpasseth all understanding. If you trust him with a childlike faith and that inward righteousness, Christ can give it to you. And remember, there's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS. Be encouraged.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Roane, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Ask Your Neighbor. Here we are on your Tuesday morning. I told you earlier that we were going to have guests in with us this morning, or a guest in with us, talking about what's the actual name of the organization?
Operation Angel Wing.
Operation Angel
Yes,
Wing.
sir.
Zeke Vanderpool. How are you, Zeke?
I'm good. Thank you.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let's just talk a little bit. We'll just start off. Tell everybody about your organization and what you guys do.
Sure. So Operation Angel Wing, at a broad stroke, is what we consider a trauma-informed, transition-focused, faith-based organization. But our goal is to work with people who are struggling with post-traumatic stress and to move them through that. We came together about 11 years ago. My partner and the founder of this organization, Mary Millsaps, is up in North Carolina. I live here locally in Andersonville, but I came out of 23 years of service in Army Special Operations, about the time that Mary came out of more than 20 years of service in emergency medicine and public safety. And we crossed paths and we realized, given the hole in the system out there, where we still have so many people struggling and so few resources for them to effectively get. So we decided to build this organization, and we have grown from there. I mean, I know for me, as I left military service, I took a look around at so many people, so many brothers and sisters and their families that were suffering, not only the ones that never made it home from Afghanistan and Iraq where I served, but the ones that on the other side of war behind closed doors were struggling so much. And just this hole of where there was just no help was just glaring. So we kind of rededicated and focused some purpose towards that.
It seemed like in our traditional care, PTSD, it really wasn't really prioritized or recognized in traditional healthcare services and stuff for a long time, was it?
It was called many things through the years, but you're right. I don't think, and I still don't think that the awareness, the true nature of it, and a lot of the true path through it is in place on any kind of large scale basis.
Oh, I was talking with our Veterans Affairs officer just the other day. He was here, and a lady that works for us, her son had PTSD, terrible. I mean, he sought treatment, and when he would go to the VA, I mean, sometimes he would wait 8 hours sitting on the floor to even get in, and he ended up taking his own life.
It just breaks me in half. This is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And now when we have people that look at us and say, I would not be here if it wasn't for the work that you guys did, that's all it takes for us to just keep moving and pushing through. 'Cause, I mean, it's a tough space to operate in. The nonprofit space is, from the outside looking in, is one thing, but once you're in there trying to survive and trying to keep things moving, it's a challenge. But the percentage, which probably isn't extremely high, of successful nonprofits that really have the impact, it makes it worth it.
Absolutely.
It has for us.
Is the difference between you guys in general, whatever medical attention or health care, whatever, that you focus on this and that you guys have both been through the trauma of serving military and her with emergency services?
I think that's a really big part of it, because what you'll find, we really augment the manualized care side of the house in that we fill gaps, because there are some big gaps over there that are indicative, that are demonstrated by the highest rate of suicide and depression that our country has ever known through these demographics.
With military
through veterans, through military, through first responders, through our youth. This is the first time in the history of our country that ages 12 through 25, second leading cause of death is suicide. Now just think about that a minute.
Wow.
It's always been accidental death has been the first leading cause, from youth, from farm accidents, from distraction, from whatever. Never before has it been suicide until now. So obviously something isn't working on that side of the house.
What, in your opinion, is causing that with our kids?
So our approach with this is that to fill that gap, you have to be able to relate and create a psychologically safe space where someone will talk. Now, if you look at the manualized care side of the house, which there's a definite need for them, you have organic issues, definite needs for life-saving medications. But I think the greatest bulk of that comes down to the fact that 80% of people don't return to that talk on the couch, that first visit to a site.
Really?
We're working off a 20% success model. You can find variations of that statistic, but if you dig in, you'll see the truth.
Is it that people weren't comfortable with it, or they
weren't comfortable, they didn't trust it, they weren't psychologically safe to open up, they didn't feel like they had that venue in place to really support them. And I'm not saying that the people that operate in that field are the cause of that. I think that in our culture today, and I think always, if you can't relate and you can't connect and you can't open up, you can't get to the core of the issue. Now, you also have a side of the house over there that wants to treat symptoms and not go to the root cause. And we can go down that rabbit hole, but I'll try to refrain from that. But the truth is,
lots of kids and lots of antidepressant medicine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But when you go back and you find you're able to identify the root cause and resolve trauma, and here's the key to that: move through that, reconnect to purpose, and find post-traumatic growth where you are connected and moving forward motion again. That's when people come out of this and move and do. When you can't see past this roadblock in front of you, this trauma that's not been resolved, then you can't even see what's beyond it. Or if you're a veteran or a first responder and they just put you on medication after medication to treat the symptoms, and now you're on 5 medications to counteract the other 7 medication side effects.
Exactly.
It's a brutal reality. So not that there isn't a
well, and that doesn't get to the core of the problem. Like you said, you're just masking over the symptoms, and it, sooner or later.
The beauty of our organization, and so one of the things about Mary that I want to say that will give some insight to this is, besides her public safety service, Mary came through an incredible story of abuse as a child and a young woman. The kind of thing most people don't live through. And what she emerged from that with is this amazing ability to heal trauma. Now, she's also a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming, NLP, which is most of our modalities, all of them, are rooted within NLP, the language of the mind, NLP, because it works. It's been around for a while, but it's also been pushed back. But so where so much of our methodology comes from that and from our faith, we're a strongly faith-based organization. So when we're able to go to the root cause, like you just said, resolve that, get someone reconnected to purpose and faith and move forward, hey, they're off to the races.
So this, you guys, your therapy, I'm just assuming therapy is part of it, and all faith-based.
It is. We're 100% faith-based, but we're staring at the challenge of basically to categorize it. There's 2 big gaps out there right now. One would be considered the occupational competency gap, where like we're talking about, traditional services just don't connect to the lived reality of people in public service, in the military, and in transition, and so that safe space doesn't quite get laid out for them. We're back to that 80% piece.
And they're certainly not connecting to kids. I mean,
no.
There's something being lost in translation somewhere.
100%. I'm going to tell you something really cool in a minute that I love about our youth. But then you have the spiritual counseling gap, where we've been pulled away from so much of that just by society's pressure for so long now. I hope we're starting to swing back in that direction, but it's left such a gap that when you don't have like grace and connection, reconnection as part of the healing process, you can't clear the path forward for people. But something you just said, really, we're passionate about. We have a strong youth program as well, because we talked about the struggles of youth, right?
Yeah.
We believe so much in our youth. It's really cool. If you take youth and veterans and you put them in together in a group, this thing happens, which is part of what we're going to do this weekend, but this thing happens where you have 2 demographics who feel like they don't have a voice. You have one demographic on the veteran side. You show me a veteran, and I guarantee I'm going to show you someone who, in his top couple reasons for doing what he did, was to protect the way of life in this country for the youth and the generations. They love our kids.
Yeah.
The kids get in there and they connect to the stories, and they understand they start to feel the wisdom and the lived experience, and they have this struggle of their own. Kids are coming up in a pretty brutal environment these days.
Sure.
And so when you put them together, they just come together, and some magic happens there. And I love that.
The veterans can take what they know and what they've been through and help the kids. Both of them have a voice to each other.
Isn't it beautiful, man?
That's cool.
These are the kind of things that we have to wake up to as a culture, as a society, as a culture of mental health. And we have to start bringing these alternative ideas in, because these are the things that heal and bridge the gap. Our first responders, our veterans, our service members, they're the first ones to help someone if they need it. It's in their heart.
Yeah.
It's in their DNA. But they are the last ones to ask for help.
Yeah.
So that's where we got to bridge the gap. So when I go, or when Mary speaks to someone and they realize that we have had to resolve our own trauma from our own walks through this stuff, then there's this reciprocity and this trust that occurs that bridges that gap.
They know you've been through it.
So we're relevant.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
They understand that you understand.
And if you don't have that in place, there's only so far you can go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
My sons, two of them have been in therapy before, and I've heard it. He has he don't understand what I'm trying to tell him. He don't get it. I do. And so that I've lived that, what you're talking about, where they go, but they don't seem to get it.
You felt it, didn't you? You felt it. It's
absolutely.
obvious. I mean,
it's obvious that they don't. I'm not going to say don't care, but that's what the kids end up thinking. They come back thinking they don't care. They're not listening. They don't know.
Switched off.
Yeah, and then 30 minutes is up. See you, next guy. Next person.
And what these kids are up against today with the social media and it's been
terrible.
Such a degradation. If something happens to a kid that's embarrassing or whatever, back we used to go out and just settle things and be done with it. Within 30 seconds, it's broadcast all over the world now.
Yeah, I know. And then the harshness that the reality that brings back to the kid involved, the embarrassment and the shame or whatever it was.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Combine that with the cognitive impact of all these devices at that age in that developing brain. You can compare it to so much right now. You can compare it to, they get hooked on the dopamine dump, the same thing people that get hooked on drugs
It's
with.
the same thing.
So that's how dangerous this thing is. So when we take these kids and we actually also have a healing chords thing with our kids where we'll use music and poetry and art, and we will connect them and give them other ways to express. And it's really cool to watch them start to open up. I'll play like songs that I've written for them, and we'll talk to them about metaphor, and then they'll start to open up. In fact, we're giving away several guitars at our event.
I saw that Gary Sinise donated those.
Did.
How cool is that?
He's such a good guy, and he is so focused on kids as well, and he gets it. He understands the power of music, the connection, and what is music.
Well, he's got a band too, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he's good. But what is music? Music is story.
Yeah.
Good music is story, and so the power and connected of that narrative, that life experience. That's what our brains are wired for. So if you'll connect to people, whether it's kids, veterans, first responders, anybody, trauma is a human experience, and you can connect to them on that level, you can make gains that are never found or rarely found over in that manualized, regimented care.
Well, they've got a format that they follow, and one size fits all.
Right.
And that's never true in anything.
In it, and they look in that book and go, "You're feeling what? Okay, here's your code. It's the medication for that." It's like, we've got to rethink this. We have to rethink this.
I had no idea that suicide among our youth had risen to such a dramatic.
A big part of what we teach is suicide prevention. When we go, we'll teach that organizationally. We'll teach it whether it's in a church, to emergency services or whatever. We have a detailed suicide prevention course. That one catches them off guard every time. It caught me off guard when I started really digging into the stats on this and going, oh my gosh, we're in a crisis in this country. And mental health, it's beyond crisis, right? But our children are struggling like they have never struggled.
I've seen that. I agree with that.
Excuse me.
We'll talk about the event that you got coming up, but like if people are out there and they're listening to what we're saying and they need help or they have kids or know somebody that does, how do they go about getting in touch with you guys?
With us? Yeah. So the easiest way is operationangelwing.org, just to go to our website, or we have Facebook presence as well.
Sure.
So Operation Angel Wing is just come find us because we're
Where
there.
are you guys at? Are you in Knoxville?
We're all over, and we can go anywhere. But my partner Mary lives in Statesville, North Carolina, and with her husband Todd, they have a farm. That is where our administrative piece is. I live here in Andersonville, so this is kind of where our operational piece is, which is why we're doing our annual event here. But we will go anywhere that we need to go. We have gotten in. We drove through a hurricane one time to get to a guy in Mobile. No kidding. We drove through a hurricane to get to him. And that dude would not be alive if we hadn't done that. He was in bad shape when we got to him. He'll tell you today, he's like, I can't believe you all did that. But he was used to trying to muddle his way through the VA and trying to muddle his way through manualized care, where all he got was stiff arms. You know, or he hit roadblocks all the time. He'd pretty much given up. And a buddy of mine called me and said, hey, I've got this troop that needs you. And away we went. And the guy's standing tall today and doing well. So those are the stories that keep us in the game.
Well, like I said, we experienced it firsthand. Lady that works for us, and even with the outreach that we have through the radio station, we even got our Veterans Affairs officer involved, who was great at what he did, and he got involved, and still they weren't able to get the system to accommodate this guy.
So that is unfortunately not an uncommon reality.
Yeah.
And so that's why so much of our programming that we have developed is built around crisis intervention, is built about going right at it in the moment, doing the crisis intervention, and then moving them through and working through. Once we get them through that moment, beginning to work into handling root cause, dealing with root cause, and move towards post-traumatic growth. You know, and if you can do that, there's a lot of organizations out there with good tools, but a lot of times they'll throw a tool at them. They may feel a little better. They'll slap them on the butt, say, good game, go get them. Now you're sticking them back out in the world. And man, when you have lost connection to your focus and your purpose, you're lost out there. Transition is the most dangerous place for our veterans, people coming out of the military, and for anybody in life. Think about it. Transitions put you in a tailspin.
Yeah.
They really do. And so we're very focused on, okay, let's rethink where we need to go from here. What do you want this to look like a year from now? What do you want your life to look like now that we've cleared this trauma? Okay, what are we going to do to move towards that and get them moving? Do you have a faith? Let's reconnect to that faith.
Do you reach out? I mentioned veteran affairs officers. Do you make your presence and what you do known to a lot of these guys and say, if you have a case, if something is a symptom, somebody call us, or maybe even with the therapy world, do you guys make yourselves known to them and say, if you guys have something out of your reach, holler at us?
We have partnered with a lot of people in that realm and just made ourselves known. And we actually have several organizations, Green Brave Foundation, Wounded Warrior. Oftentimes when they have someone that they have run the gamut of their tools with and they are having no success, they will call us.
Oh, wow.
And they will send them to us.
Okay.
We get them to it every time.
That's awesome.
It's really powerful. And I credit Mary with the ideology underneath this and how we do it. We came together and we're able to bring this relevance into the arena that people will connect to and bridge that gap that we talked about, that reluctance. And then once we get them into the programming, and we tailor a program to them
to the
based
individual.
on them. Yeah, we have tons of tools to use, but let's base it on where you're at and what you need and go from there. And it works.
How do you guys stay in business? I mean, do you go through grants? Do people pay for therapy? I mean, how's it all work?
Well, we apply for grants. We do. But I'm not going to lie. The nonprofit space is tough.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. And I didn't know that going into it, but I can surely talk to it after more than a decade in it. Occasional grants, donations, like our fundraiser coming up this weekend, make a big difference. But then so much of it has been out of pocket for over a decade. We just believe in it enough to just keep digging. We're not going to not help somebody because we're out of money.
Yeah.
We're just going to get in the car and go. And we've done well with it as far as surviving and keeping our head above water, but it's always very tight. And something I've learned also is people will work harder to try to take something away from you than they will to build their own thing coming up. So that you got that piece of it. You just have to be on guard, and you have to put some armor up. And if you're going to keep your mission moving forward, you have to be resilient and you have to stay true to your mission and not let anything pull you off guard. And we've done that very effectively.
Has the status quo healthcare therapy, do they fight you guys a little bit? Do you run into a little resistance?
Not really. In fact, increasingly, I think what we have is more receptiveness because they're not very aware of the epidemic that we're.
So they're seeing that there's a problem.
Absolutely.
They're just not. They just haven't found the key to fixing it.
You know, when they talked about not long ago, they put a number of 22 on 22 veterans a day. So what we have learned is there was a study done at UAB, and what they factored in drug overdose. They factored in, because that was never factored into the original 22 a day. And when they factored in drug overdose, whether accidental or intentional, they can go back and be pretty accurate by looking at post-death stuff. The number pushed upper 40s per day.
Oh, wow.
So the reality is so much bigger than even we see on the surface right now. So, yeah.
Talk about what are we doing this weekend, where are we doing it at, and how can people get involved?
Oh, thank you. So our annual event every year is always dedicated to Mary's grandfather, a World War II veteran, George Neely, who actually was her mentor through all that stuff. He pretty much was her anchor. But also to all who have served and paid the price for our country. So it's dedicated to that. But it's a community event because we need community events. We have gotten away from community events.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're doing this year that's really cool is we're starting this thing off with a prayer walk. It's kind of a patriotic ruck march prayer walk where we will have whoever wants can sign up, and they will walk and carry a prayer stone with the name of who they're praying for, all the way from Norris Dam to the Appalachian Museum.
That's cool.
I got a bus that's going to follow behind. I got hydration along the way, and we're going to come in together carrying the flag, and then we'll begin our patriotic event. And we bless the food. We bring in the colors. Anderson County Chief Davis and his JROTC bring the colors in. We've got the School of Rock, a youth music school in Knoxville.
Yes.
Will be doing live entertainment for
That's
us
cool.
down there. And then we will celebrate and honor our protectors and our heroes, our veterans, our first responders. And we'll have Bear Stevenson is going to come in. He always auctions off and does a bake sale for us.
Yeah.
So, that's part of the fundraiser, and Bear's fun. There's a Vietnam vet. Right
Absolutely.
There. So, we have, it's just a really good community event. We're partnered this year with a couple other organizations who are coming in with us, Carry the Load, Team Unbroken. These are very patriotic, really good organizations, and then we'll have vendors there. So it's going to be a really neat community event. The prayer walk is going to be powerful. I really think it is. And then we're going to just have our programs available and our awareness available for anybody that wants to reach out.
That's this weekend. What time at the museum if people want to show it? The prayer walk, if they want to do that, show up at the dam?
Registration will be from 7 to about 8:30 in the morning, and then we'll bus them up to the dam and walk back from there.
So start at 7 to 8 at the museum, and then if they don't want to do the walk and they just want to participate.
That'll start at noon.
Noon.
Get there a few minutes early, sign in at the desk, and there's no admission price. We just ask if people felt led to be a part of the donation process to the organization, but either way, to come and just enjoy this community event where they can connect with veterans, with youth, with our protectors. It's the kind of event we've gotten away from, I think, in this country.
We have.
That has got to be brought back.
Well, it's we are so in touch with everything on these devices.
I know.
You can ask it anything. That you lose the need, for me to call you and ask you something. I just ask ChatGPT or Siri.
The kids upstairs in the house are going to send them a text. You know, the World Wide Web was supposed to make us more connected than ever before. And where are we? We're more disconnected than
ever before. It's made us completely disconnected.
That's why we have programs like our Safe Haven. It's our chaplaincy program, where we have crisis response, we have death notification, critical incident response, but we're actually able to go in and connect and teach, help them, but then we can also go into an organization and teach trauma-informed. Like, if you give somebody the why, if you teach them why trauma does what it does to the human, to the brain, then they can see the how. How do I get through it? Nobody ever gives them the why. And nobody does that. So we'll go teach them that, and we'll build teams within organizations that understand suicide prevention, psychological first aid, that are trauma-informed. And now you've got a nucleus of people in an organization that other coworkers will come to before they're off the rails. Because if you're a first responder and you go off the rails, there's so much trauma in that world anyway, and you start going off the rails and you let it go too far, now you're going to wind up with a career-ending event, as opposed to how about we create a relevant core group within an organization that people can come to that have true answers and can help people work through stuff with.
So you guys, for lack of a better term, you'll train some other folks so that people, a police officer has problems, he'll have a group that you guys have given a lot of this information to and train.
That's how you scale this thing.
And because you couldn't do it all yourself.
That's how you scale it. You teach these skills to people and you give them that relevant resource that people will come to that can get in front of it before it goes too far down this path of destruction, right?
Do you help people to recognize it? You know, because sometimes people are starting to flail about and they're confused about what's going on, but somebody else might see it and say,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Recognize it.
You know, that's a really interesting thing. One of the things that happens when somebody like skids down this path of destruction from whatever event has skewed their perspective and put them into this hole, they'll bounce back and forth in different depths of this. But if they get deep enough and they start thinking about killing themselves, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're going to have a very detailed plan. Mm-hmm. They'll think this through, and they will protect the ones they love from that plan, and they'll protect the plan from them. So a lot of times, people never even know. I see it a lot in firefighters. When a firefighter commits suicide, and any public servant, most of the time, the people around them go, I can't believe this. We were laughing and joking this morning, you know? Yeah. So what we teach is the individual indicators collectively to look at that. Because if it's just one thing, maybe just having a bad day or whatever's going on. But to know them, to understand how to recognize indicators and then how to properly approach the issue. Yeah. Which is, if you're thinking about killing yourself and I walk up to you and I say, hey man, you're not thinking about like hurting yourself or anything, are you? I just gave you the out. No, man, I'm good. Yeah. But if I look at you and say, are you thinking of taking your life? I just took the elephant out of the room. I took the load off of your back. Right on, yeah. And now you're going to have a sense of relief and we're going to be able to open up. And I've literally had people come back and say, I used that and we intervene and say. You
don't give any room. It's a yes or no answer. And you know what I mean? You
have to approach it directly. You can't dance around it. It's so uncomfortable, right? So when you teach them what to recognize and then what to do, in the event the answer is yes, then what you've done is empowered a group of people to be more effective in suicide intervention within an organization because they're relevant to begin with than anything else you can do.
Is the suicide prevention your main focus, or because a lot of first responders, veterans, stuff, they have PTSD, but they're not to a point where they're going to hurt themselves. They're just miserable. You know what I mean? They can't function the way they used to.
So in that respect, our main focus is to be trauma informed, to understand like why trauma affects us like it does. And that's a beautiful conversation in itself. It's amazing what truly goes on in the brain. And to understand that you're not broken. You're actually responded to something the way you were supposed to, but now your sympathetic state is stuck in this thing, and you're going to go back in an unhealthy way every time, and you're going to get a trauma loop that becomes more and more powerful. But if you give them this trauma-informed knowledge and the understanding of human nature and how it responds to that kind of stress, that actually gives them the why, and they realize, okay, maybe I'm not broken. Maybe we're going to take the stigma away from this whole conversation, and maybe by doing some simple things, this doesn't have to be my new reality. I don't have to redefine normal and say, I'm just going to be miserable the rest of my life. Maybe there is something on the other side of this, and they can reach and move through it. And they can do that long before they become suicidal. Yeah. But we have to break this stigma. We have to break this false narrative around, in my opinion, it takes more courage to ask for help than anything else, because you're taking a stand for yourself and for the people you love. Yeah. Well, we've been brought up in a society where, as much as I love them, the John Waynes and the Clint Eastwood, it's all about being macho, tough and carrying it on my shoulder. And unfortunately, there is a reality around that for us. And so we're working very hard to change the culture in amongst all of this.
So somebody that's been exposed to trauma, you say, your brain starts to tell you how to deal with it. But the continuation of dealing with it like that is what you find pulls people into.
Actually, will put you into a trauma loop, and what will happen is your perspective will begin to slide. You'll actually start to go in a hole where
change the way you see things.
So think of it this way: you become desensitized, and most of us are to a certain extent. Law enforcement, firefighters, first responders, you have to be. It's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
Right? You have to actually be able to laugh or make a joke about something horrible that you saw to get through it. But then you start to become a little delusional in the sense of you start buying into, well, this is just my new reality. You dance in there long enough and you become disconnected, and that's where it gets dangerous. When you start disconnecting, then what happens then is your perspective is taking your environment down with you, and people that start seeking coping mechanisms at that level, now you're looking at people who are turning to alcohol, to drugs, to dangerous behaviors, to whatever. Well, now they're creating an environment around them that actually just kind of supports all that. But when you go back in and you work on the perspective, you can actually right that ship, because then the behavior will change, the environment will change, and you can come back around and get them back online, whereas they didn't even understand. They were just dancing in this skid for so long that it just took them down. That is extremely common. That's a path of destruction that is extreme.
Again, and you're the first person that I've heard talk about it, you know what I mean, in this way, treating it.
So real, though. We see this. If I hadn't spent the last 11 years witnessing this through hundreds and hundreds of people that we work with, I would be like, oh, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a possible theory. I know it's a fact.
Yeah.
I know their stories. I know the event that took their perspective down, that put them on this skid, that took their environment with them and their behavior down. I know it because it's without fail. It's
people, they start withdrawing from friends, and then, pretty soon they're alone, by themselves. Then, yeah, it's.
Now, the other element to that also is just about anyone who has gone that far off the rails, and I mean just about anyone who's that deep, there is almost always a correlation to what we call pre-service trauma. So what will happen is you'll go back, and there were some things in childhood, maybe early childhood, middle childhood, whatever, that really started to mess their perspective up too. Maybe they didn't feel unsafe, maybe they didn't feel loved, maybe there was abuse, maybe there was sexual abuse, maybe there was physical abuse, maybe there was domestic violence all around them, and they didn't feel safe. And if they somehow made it through that without being dead or in jail as a teen, guess where they gravitated?
Why?
They gravitated to first responders, military. And why is that? Because you have this sense of stability, this brotherhood, this camaraderie, and this safety that they didn't have. So they carry that in, and then by nature of that occupation start stacking traumas from what they experience. And then at some point, when they hit a wall,
it all catches up.
So what do? We go back.
Oh, wow.
Go back. And we go back to the first time they got off, and we start resolving that. And the beauty of that, when you resolve that, you're giving a peace with that, pulling that fight or flight out of that and giving them peace. It's still a memory, but you're no longer stuck in fight or flight. The brain is actually able to start doing that all the way down.
How are you able to do that? I mean, it sounds almost like magic. You take somebody 30 years in reverse.
It seems like it. It comes from the world of NLP, the linguistic program. And it literally.
And that's what your partner specializes in.
She's absolutely fantastic.
Basically, you're rewiring the brain.
You are, very much. You're rewiring and you're quieting the brain. If you want to, I'll think about it basically sometimes, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that would argue, but it's almost like you have a primal brain and you have the thinking brain. The primal brain, which is responsible for the sympathetic state and all the involuntary reactions, it's a little quicker than the thinking brain. So let's say someone is in a life or death situation, a soldier on the battlefield, or a child in an abuse situation. That primal brain kicks in and does the mechanisms that have to be done to keep that kid alive, whether it's fight, flight, freeze, whatever. And they say they survive that. Well, let's take the veteran who can't walk into Walmart without becoming overwhelmed with anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Because his primal brain shoots before his thinking brain can tell him, hey, everything's okay.
You're in Walmart, it's okay.
His sympathetic state kicks up, and now he is amped up to the roof, and he couldn't even really tell you why. He just knows it's an absolute panic. One of the tools we have that works every single time with that is a breath technique that we developed, and it is a way that the diaphragmatic, the deep exhale activates what's called the vagus nerve, which is responsible for the parasympathetic state, which brings it. And when you teach them to breathe this way, all of a sudden, when that thing hits, we got a technique they do, and it activates that and balances them. And he's like, I can control this now. I don't need my meds for this. I can control it through my breath. These are the simple gifts from God that when we understand them and put them to use, we can literally change the game with this.
And by putting them in control of it, that whatever it is loses its grip on them, and
you take the power away from the event, because so many people are focused on that thing that happened to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what all they obsess about. Even the Gold Star mother who lost their son, they'll become obsessed with the details on the battlefield, the tiny details. Right. So until you can resolve some of that, then it smooths out, and you're not stuck in that anymore. But until you resolve it, you're stuck in it, and it will loop for years and years. I've had Vietnam vets. We've had a Vietnam vet's wife came to us in tears and said, "Thank you for giving me my husband back," because he'd woke up swinging on her in the middle of the night for years.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that reality. Yeah. And you can take these tools, you can resolve trauma, you can move them through and into post-traumatic growth. It's very intentional, but it's very effective, and all that falls away. You don't lose the memory. A lot of people are afraid to let the memory go because they're afraid they'll dishonor. You're not letting the memory go. You're taking your sympathetic response out of that, and you're letting your mind park that in long-term memory storage where it's supposed to be. But it can't be there if the sympathetic state blocks it from going through the coding process to get there. This is part of Mary's so good at the neuroscience, but when you pull the sympathetic state down and you give resolution, then things land where they're supposed to land, and you have peace.
So you're not talking about just going in and letting people talk and therapy. You're literally finding ways to get them to think differently.
There's a place for talk therapy, of course, but on the front end of talk therapy, if you haven't resolved the trauma, there's only so far you're going to go with talk therapy.
Absolutely.
I know people who say that the talk therapy techniques have helped them, and I get that, but I know more of them who say they didn't or they made it worse than I do that say they helped.
Yeah.
So I'm not really judging that modality. What I am saying is that I know after 11 years of this and learning from Mary and learning from the people we work with, that if you will honestly go back and resolve the root cause, you can move forward with peace, and you can move right on through all of it. And you can come out the other side with focus and connection and faith. It's there for everybody. And I'm telling you, some of the stories of the people we've dealt with, they will tell you when they went to a psychologist, the psychologist got up and left the room in tears because they couldn't handle the story they were telling them. And what does that do to the person sitting on the couch?
Destroys you.
Well, how broken am I?
Yeah, if they can't help me, they're the professional. Yeah.
So, but there is such a place for that profession, and there's such a need for it. What we have to do is understand the gaps, understand the ways to fill the gaps, break the stigmas around it, and then take programs like this and move into it and fill those gaps.
So your partner, Mary, so what she went through, did she just figure this out on her own? It's how she survived it, how she came through the other side of it?
I really don't know how she survived it, to be honest, because I've helped her work through her story, and most women don't survive that. And she absolutely did reach a place of suicide. She was beaten and left for dead. And this monster went to get his mother to help come dispose of the body. She came to, and she ran. And that began her life on the road of running. So the things she survived, she went down that path of destruction. I did too. After the war, my family almost fell apart after a while. But she was able to navigate it, and instead of letting it drag her down, she pursued this career in emergency medicine. She was a phenomenal. And all the way up through occupational health, she did the whole gamut. But she also had a passion for linguistics, NLP, neuro linguistic program.
Yeah.
And as she pursued, she learned the science of this, the science of the brain.
She educated herself and then healed herself.
Absolutely. And she's just so good. It's really one of the reasons that I can sit here and say I know what we have works when so many other. I mean, hell, it worked for me.
Yeah.
I worked through a lot of stuff on my own after the war, and I helped brothers work through their stuff and sisters. I know this works.
Do you ever have some of these folks that go through this, and obviously that's life changing if they've lived with it for 40 years, like the man you were describing? Do they ever come back and become counselors to try and help you,
Absolutely.
help others?
And that's one of the things I think that speaks to the beauty of just the human spirit is when you make it through something like this, more often than not, the reaction is, okay, not only does this make sense, I'm on solid ground. I want to turn around and I want to help people come across to where I'm at. I want to lead them through the darkness. And that's what powered Mary through this. It's what powered me through this. I remember I was at Walter Reed, one of my dearest friends, lost a leg in Afghanistan. I was just getting ready to retire. And I was standing by him all night. He would wake up, his wounds were still fresh. He'd come out of that drug-induced coma, and he would look around the room and our eyes would meet. Then he would slip back in. Those moments were standing. My mind started racing over Afghanistan, Iraq, those moments in between. I knew when I retired, laid my gun down, I had to try to find a way to help all these families and all these brothers and sisters who had been lucky enough to survive, but were coming apart on the backside of it, behind the closed doors. And so I just started looking and thinking in that direction. And then we just kind of came together and went from there.
You mentioned Wounded Warriors earlier. Mm-hmm. So those programs, they're aware of you and what you all do.
They are.
And send people back.
Very good programs.
Yeah.
But they are. They will reach for us when they have someone that they just can't seem to get through it.
And for the event this weekend, do people just show up if they want to do, or do they register?
Show up at noon. So there'll be a registration booth when they come in. There'll be no cover charge. There's a 12 o'clock spaghetti dinner, or lunch, which is donated by, is that? They're really, Indian Hill Easy Martin Farmers Deli.
Okay.
They're evidently an awesome deli, and they support farmers, and they're going to do the lunch for us. So there'll be the auction, the bake sale, and then School of Rock, and then we'll be honoring specific organizations, presenting plaques and things like that. I might do a song. I don't know. I'm not crazy about that these days, but but I just love the connection. I love it because we just don't do this anymore. So when we bring our youth and our veterans and our community together and our protectors, our first responders, and we just celebrate them, man, that's a good event. It's worth a Saturday.
My experience outside of the lady that worked for me and her son, I've not experienced anything with first responder. You know what I mean? My both of my grandfathers fought in the war, but again, that was the Clint Eastwood, John Wayne era. I don't know if there was problems. I never knew it. They never had it. But with kids, I know so many kids that whether they're my kids, my kids' friends, whatever,
yes,
that have that are dealing with these issues, these social media issues, like you were talking about, where something happens to them or one of their friends, and now 2,000 of their friends are commenting on it, and it bothers them.
It's brutal, and the broken homes, and and the predators that are out there. I'm like you. I've raised 4 kids right here in this community, and through connection with their kids, their friends.
Yeah.
I've gotten to see like a pretty good perspective of like the variations of what these kids are going through in the home place, and some of it's really brutal. That's my daughter. Both my own kids bring me their friends at some point to be like, "Hey, Dad, can you fix me?" Or I don't know. But you know what? Anxiety is such a thing with
absolutely.
And when I taught them breath technique, I really taught them how to do breath. And
I don't know a teen right now, honestly. Very few that haven't expressed having some kind of anxiety.
Whether they're cutting themselves these days or the anxiety.
Or just being upset or high strung,
And of course they make anxiety such a thing for them. There's all these disorders they'll diagnose them with and stuff. But when I teach them how to control their anxiety just by breath, they will actually come back and go, that worked better than the meds they give me for this. So I just,
Oh, no, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I just think it's time to wake up and really look at what's in between and fill these gaps with the right things, with the approach to mind, body, and spirit on the other side of dealing with trauma. These kids have a lot of trauma.
Oh yeah,
they truly do,
and it's trauma that people our age may not really get or understand. Even though I've got one of these, I wasn't raised on it. You know what I mean? At all.
Nope.
And so, my kids. We fought long as we could. But you lose the battle sooner or later.
Oh, I know.
And they get the phones.
I think with oversight, it's okay as long as you are limiting that, as you know what they're seeing, what they're getting on, what they're doing. But a young kid does not have the self-control, the self police themselves on that device.
Well, and no matter how much oversight you do, they're still able to sneak off or whatever. Yeah, I don't know any kid that hasn't.
The trick for me has been, and I know, and we know they're going to do it, but the trick for me that I've seen so powerful is to just stay connected to your kids and get them out, take them places where they don't have the phone. Like my youngest boy, who's starting high school this year, loves to trout fish, so we go to the river. You figure out what lights them up and take them out, make them forget about their phone, get them connected out there. So many kids spend the entire day on that screen.
Well, one of my boys loves to work on small engines. I'm not a handy guy, but I've learned. I've got to fix a few things. In fact, me and my other son fixed the lawnmower Sunday. We were proud of ourselves.
That's awesome.
But just getting out and doing stuff. You're right, and they're not on the phone. They're doing.
My oldest boy decided he wanted to go into the Navy. I was like, okay.
Did that concern you?
It did, but I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
And my middle son is now in the Army and followed the path I came through, Army Special Operations. I encouraged him not to do that, but when I knew he was good, I got behind him. But with my son, we go to the pool and learn the combat swimming strokes. We either be on the track or in the pool, 5 o'clock every morning. Then I'm off to work. He's off to high school. But taking the time and investing that in your children, that's that emotional bank account that you have to put deposits in. And when you do, when things get hard, they have that.
When you do work with kids like you're talking about, do you then work with the parents on how to keep the kid on track?
We most definitely will cross-load, communicate with the parents, but a lot of times we're just getting
mom and dad aren't interested.
No. So what we try to do is give this kid a thorough understanding. Hey, they respond to the trauma piece, the trauma-informed science piece. They get it as well as any adult will sit down and teach this. We can't underestimate our kids' abilities to think and learn like an adult because they're smarter than we give them credit. But when you teach them that, you bring them in and you story, you start listening to their stories, they'll start opening up. And then and every one of them knows a kid that's killed himself.
Absolutely.
And watch another kid go right down the path of destruction. So when you bring them in, you connect them, you give them that psychologically safe environment, and you give them these skills, they'll go put it to use before a lot of them. And you teach them to reach for an adult. You teach them if something has gotten this far with someone you have to go get an adult immediately. And I've had them come back that did that, save the situation, and would have never done it.
Were they worried? Were they worried about telling on somebody or getting? You know what I mean? Yeah. But at the
branded a rat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course they are. But when you impress upon them the reality of the situation, they get it, and they're brave, and they'll be like, you know what? Doesn't matter. This kid may not live if I don't go get help, and they'll go get help. You teach them. When you get to that point, you recognize the severity of the situation. Someone has got to intervene. They have to do it. Have to get.
Do you find that they do that because you've helped them and they understand if they get somebody this help? You know what I mean?
If they hadn't been taught that, they probably would have.
For sure. Who wants to put their friend through psychological therapy? But
I'm so proud of our youth, and every time we get them together, and I watch them learn and ask questions and share stories and connect, it just really gives me a lot of hope for what's out there. We've got to make some changes.
You guys, what you're doing is it's it's not widely practiced, is it?
No.
I mean, it's the first I've ever heard of.
There are more people out there than you realize. As far as NLP is out there, and it's actually on the rise. You're going to see a lot more about NLP. All of a sudden, it's becoming cool again. It got smashed down after the 70s and 80s, but now people like Tony Robbins and stuff, he uses NLP to do what he does, and things like that. But it's starting to come back because people recognize, even in the industry, this gap. These gaps have to be filled, that manualized care structure really doesn't have tools to fill, and they're seeing the success of small organizations like us and going, okay, there's something like that. We need to find this integrated approach, and we need to put that on nowhere near where it needs to be. So, but the reality statistics are still good.
Yeah.
But you got to turn it around.
What do you want folks to know that I haven't asked you or that you haven't already told?
So much. I just really appreciate you having us on here today. People will come out on Saturday. Come do the walk. If you're scared of the distance, it's no problem. I've got a bus that's going to be full. I will have law enforcement support, so we'll be protected on the roadways. It's going to be a really good walk. But come be a part of the connections and bring kids. Bring these young adults in here. Let them connect and see what this is all about.
Who are some of the sponsors that are helping got them? If you'd like to acknowledge them.
So Carry the Load is an organization that helps organizations like ours, very patriotic organization. They're partnered with us. They're a division partner. Team Unbroken is another amazing veteran organization formed by a sergeant major who she was blown up in I think a rocket, and what she's done in creating this system of resilience is amazing. They'll be here. Easy Morning, Farmers Deli, Knoxville School of Rock. Quilt of Valor will be there. Chapter 567, they make quilts. These ladies are phenomenal. Tennessee Sassenachs, which is my wife and daughter's business. It's a herbal healing business. They just opened up near the museum, actually.
Okay.
It's so fine art in the service of others. This lady, one of our head coaches, takes and paints pictures of dogs, people service dogs for them, and puts those revenues back into this. These are good people, man. Mount Pleasant Methodist Church out of Andersonville is sponsoring, VFW out of Oak Ridge, and then Clinch River Home Health Care are the primary.
How did you and Ms. Millsap, Mary, how did you guys meet?
So when I came off of active duty from Iraq, I stepped back into my job in federal law enforcement. I work here in Oak Ridge as a federal agent. And I was doing at the time Homeland Security briefings all across the region. And she found out what I was doing and had me come in and do a briefing for her paramedics, which she was mentoring. She still teaches and mentors paramedics up there.
Okay.
And I went in and did a briefing for them. And we compared notes and realized that we had the same mission statement in mind, organization, and we just turned that into one thing.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's just God's grace.
And how can people out there, I mean, we invite them to the event, but how can they help if they want to help? If they want to help you?
For us, it's reach for us if you need all else.
And that's Angel Network.
Operation Angel Winged Up.
Operation Angel Winged Up.
Reach for us if you need us. But then, if you can, donate and help us keep this thing moving.
Okay.
That is, one of the biggest challenges, because it does take resources to do that.
Amen.
And so, but other than that, prayers. Keep us in your prayers.
Do you mind if I see if any of our listeners have questions?
No, be glad.
Okay, let me do that. Let me take a quick break. I'll open the phone lines up if you guys have any questions. 865-457-1380 or 877-711-4005. You have a question or comment for our guest, maybe kids or grandkids, or maybe you've got somebody in your family that's going through some of this and you have some questions, call us, and we'll see what we can do to get you some answers. 865-457-1380. I'll be back in just a moment, guys.
Barney Fife here with some big news. Not just big news, this is really big news. The senior benefits team at Madison Insurance Group has a whole website that talks about nothing but Medicare. It's straighttalkmedicare.com, folks. If you have questions about Medicare, just nip it right in the bud. Visit straighttalkmedicare.com or call the senior benefits team at Madison Insurance Group at 865-425-7300. Tell them Barney sent you.
Anderson Farmers Co-op, 110 South Charles Severs Boulevard in Clinton, has something for the whole family. Names like Carhartt and Area. You can keep your feet warm and dry with dry shot boots for men and women. They also have Georgia and Ariat work. Anderson Farmers Co-op also has everything you need to take care of animals. Whether you're a farmer or just have a house full of dogs and cats. Anderson Farmers Co-op, 110 South Charles Severs Boulevard in Clinton, 865-457-9641.
Today, it seems like all businesses are being bought up by huge corporations, even body shops. Here's Barry from H&H Body Shop.
Yeah, there's a conglomerate, and that's just come in and bought 3 of the major shops in the Knoxville area that were all local before. That's okay, but it's not the hometown stuff that folks around here expect and want. So spend your money with the local folks. We try to, and then you'll still get treated like your family, and what happens to you is important to us.
So do business with local hometown folks. No matter if your car needs an oil change or complete color change. H&H Body Shop, 749 North Main Street in Clinton. Call 865-457-9735. H&H Body Shop, there since 1960, and there when you need them.
H&H has been around 56 years. We're Darla and Barry, and we appreciate you dealing with local hometown people that's been there and going to be there.
Step back in time at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. Tour what it was like to be at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. Take a self-guided tour. You'll meet former prison guards and inmates, and they can answer all your questions while telling you the incredible story of Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. Get a map of the grounds and visit more than 30 stations, or book a private tour with a group of at least 15. Don't forget to have a meal at the warden's table or at the new Parolee's restaurant. And why not make a weekend of it? Stay at our brand new RV park and campground, offering concrete paths, sewer and water hookup, Wi-Fi, full-size showers and laundry, and more. It's all at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. Book now online at tourbrushy.com or call 423-324-8687. That's 324-TOUR. Or again online at tourbrushy.com.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. First of all, it's free to use. Get GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
This is Holly Robinson Peete for Eggland's Best. Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious, farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties, classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The heat is on. Temperatures top out in the mid-90s today. Heat index values pushing close to 105 to 107 degrees. We do have that heat advisory in place until 8 o'clock tonight with a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms. The weather is heating up, and so is your roof. Call my friends at 865 Roofing. That's 865-333-2024 for a free roof check before the storms roll back in. Local, trusted, and ready when you need them. I'm meteorologist Mike Witcher from the East Tennessee Weather Center for AM 1380, FM 101.1, and FM 99.5 WYSH.
Probably heard about it from Hollywood. All the big stars are using it. It's called NAD, and it's now available at Way to Go Weight Loss. Here's Rachel Frazier, nurse practitioner at Way to Go Weight Loss.
NAD is a naturally occurring coenzyme that declines with aging. You can have benefits that rate energy, protect cells from stress. It can delay aging, improve immune system and function. It can help improve sleep and quality. It can help with mental clarity, restoration and muscle function. It can help improve with athletic performance. You're having the benefits of the weight loss, but also people overall feeling good, makes them more alert. So it really helps people want to get out and do more.
Something that is that effective and has that many great results has to cost a lot, right?
We're starting the low patients first try it and they're $25.
Just $25? With 5 locations, Knoxville, Sevierville, Cedar Bluff, Oneida, and Kingston. Call 865-219-8650. 219-8650. Way to go. It's an anti-aging medical spa. All right. We don't have any questions. I always say that no news is good.
Right.
Yeah, so that's good. But
Just know that we're here.
Angel.
Operation Angel Wing.
I put that down so I get it. Operation Angel Wing if folks need it. And then the event, the walk, need to be at the museum.
Between 7 and 8:30, come in and sign up. We'll bus you up and we'll all walk. And,
The
the event starts at noon.
All right. It's a pleasure to meet you.
So good.
Whatever we can do to help your, the cause, whatever
We'll have
we
to
do,
get Mary on here next time.
That would be
So I
great.
hope to take it.
that would be great. All right, then. We'll go ahead and we'll wrap things up, folks. And if you need any information, call me and I'll pass along what we've got. And it says Operation Angel Wing Network. That's what it's called. And the event is this weekend. I'm looking at my notes up here.
Just
And great. All right.
this Saturday.
Saturday, we'll get it. All right. Have a great day, folks.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, right here on AM 1380 WYSH and BBB TV 12. Or listen live online at WYSHradio.com. And remember, if you have a question, comment, or problem, call in tomorrow and ask your neighbor. Or email from our website. It's Ask Your Neighbor. Thanks for listening.